Using function machines with Adam Maths Tutor. Here's the beginner question, one of the easier questions that you're likely to find on this topic. A function machine is a visual representation of a mathematical process that takes an input, applies a rule or a series of rules, and produces an output. It's a simple way to understand how functions work and is often used in algebra to break down problems step by step. For the first question, we need to find the output when the input is -8. The input is the number that you start with that goes into the machine, in this case -8. The rules are in these boxes and are the operations that are applied to the input. They're normally things such as adding, subtracting, multiplying or dividing, and the output is the result that we get after applying these rules. So a -8 goes into the machine. The first rule is to divide by 4. -8 divided by 4 is -2. After applying the first rule, there's another rule where I then need to add 5, and -2 plus 5 gives me +3. This gives me my output, which in this case would be 3. For the next question, I need to find what the input is when the output is 25. This involves working backwards and using inverse operations from the output. So starting with 25 and working backwards, going in the opposite direction. The inverse of adding 5 is subtracting 5, which is 20. And the inverse of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. 20 multiplied by 4 is 80. Therefore, when the output is 25, the input is 80. On to the intermediate question, with an increase in difficulty. A rule to calculate a taxi fare is £2.50 plus £2.20 per mile. We can use this rule to create a function machine. Starting with my input, which is the amount of miles of my journey, I'll need to think about the order that I do this, and it's not necessarily the order from left to right. The £2.50 is a set amount that we're adding on, whereas the £2.20 is for every mile. First, we'll need to multiply our input, miles, by 2.2 or £2.20 to work out the total cost of those miles before adding the £2.50 set fee. This will give me my output. So a 10-mile journey multiplying by £2.20 gives me £22, and then adding £2.50 gives a total of £24.50 for the 10-mile taxi journey. For the last part of the question, a taxi journey costs £20 10p. This is the output. Work out the distance of the journey, which is my input. So working backwards from the input and applying the inverse operations from the output, I'll need to subtract £2.50, which is £17.60, and then divide by £2.20 to give me an input of 8, which would be an 8-mile journey. On to the advanced question, one of the trickiest questions that you're likely to find on this topic. Here is a function machine. Our input is given as an algebraic expression of y. We have a multi-step function machine where the rules are multiplying by 7 and then taking away 13 to give me my output. The input is y, and they tell us that the output is 3 times the input. That means the output would be 3 multiplied by y, which can be written as an algebraic expression of 3y. They would like us to find the value of the output. I should be able to form an equation here, since I know that when y goes into the machine, if I apply my first rule to multiply by 7, I'll get 7y. And then applying my second rule of taking away 13, this will give me 7y minus 13. But I know what this is actually equal to. It's equal to 3y. So I can form an equation where 7y minus 13 is equal to 3y. If I add 13 to both sides and subtract 3y from both sides, 7y minus 3y is 4y. And adding 13 to both sides will give me 4y equals 13. Divide through by 4 will allow me to work out my value for y. 13 divided by 4 is 3.25. Lastly, the question doesn't ask me to work out the value of y, which is the input. It actually asks me to work out the output, which is 3 lots of y. Multiplying 3.25 by 3 gives me my final answer, the output 3y, which is 9.75. Here's a question that I've completed earlier. It appears as though I've made some mistakes. Pause the video and see if you can spot what they are before writing some corrections in the comments below.
Thanks for watching. If you found that video useful, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. If you're struggling with topics or finding maths difficult, subscribe and turn on notifications to receive regular updates about new video tutorials and other useful content. You can visit and follow all of my socials by clicking the links in the description below.